Hey there, this is Thomas Manning, senior interviewer for Elements Madness, and today I'm very excited to be sharing with you my recent conversation with actor, martial artist, and action filmmaking legend Michael Jai White, talking about his new film As Good as Dead, directed by Ellis Frazier. Michael actually wrote the script and stars in the lead role, and it's a very personal story for Michael, as you'll see him talk about in this conversation. I was very grateful for Michael's time, and I was glad I got to get in a question toward the end of our interview about his role in The Dark Knight, the Christopher Nolan film from 2008, which growing up was always one of my favorite films and still is today. And I think a lot of people from my generation have a unique connection to that film. So thank you so much for watching and listening to my conversation with Michael Jai White talking about As Good as Dead, directed by Ellis Frazier. Hope you all enjoy. Well, Michael, it's really a pleasure to be speaking with you today. I'm really glad that you took the time for this.
Hey, no problem.
Absolutely. And if you're ready, I'll get right into it.
Cool.
And so you wrote the script for this film, and from what I understand, it's a very personal story to you. So I'd love to have you share a little bit more about that background and what that means to you to be able to tell this story.
Well, this is a story I had in my head that I really wanted to show in Mexico because I've always had a great love for the Latino community and culture. I wrote this story largely. I based my character on my oldest brother, who sadly passed away just a month before we started shooting. And my brother was, my brother took a motorcycle. Drove his motorcycle across the country, ended up in Mexico, and fell in love with Playa del Carmen and started a family there. And so he loved he loved the community. He would just, I mean, he would take people on tours and the ruins and stuff, and people would kind of go out and decompress, and he would show people around. He was really inspired by the lifestyle, and it really influenced me a great deal. And so I decided to make that my setting for the movie, where my character has some, a background that you don't quite know of until later, and but he helps out this at risk youth Mexican kid who wanted to try to get away from the pressures of the gang life. And so my character does what he feels is right, and he helps the kid out, and then one thing leads to another. But one message of this film is that people are not what you might think of who they are on the surface. So that's a ongoing message in the film. And yeah, so this was just something that I really wanted to do in Mexico and bring this genre, the action, martial arts action, in that type of a setting, because we had not seen that before.
Right, right. And you've crossed paths with Ellis Frazier before. I believe he was a producer on a film you did a few years ago. So have you gotten to know each other in the industry over the years, or was this really the first time you got an idea of each other's sensibilities as filmmakers?
No, no, I've known Frazier for years. In fact, from the time I first met Frazier, he reminded me of my oldest brother, like so much so. There were so many similarities. Like my brother Frazier, he was an American who basically started a family in Mexico, and they both were musicians and entertainers. My brother was a singer. He sang in lounges, and he played the guitar and piano. He was a showman, very much like Frazier. So those two guys, I couldn't wait to introduce them. They seem like they almost they reminded me of each other so much. I know that they would have had an amazing friendship.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And so in this film, you also shared a lot of scenes with Guillermo Ivan, and the dynamic between those two characters was really fascinating, bit of an unexpected alliance that they built. So how was that energy between you two on set?
Oh, it was great. It was great. And one of the biggest messages that I intended on putting out there when I wrote the film, is that people are not necessarily who you think they are, you know, just because of their circumstances. I mean, you have people who, if they've had other circumstances in their lives, this gang leader might be, you know, Fortune 50, like like head CEO of a major company. You know, it's just you use your abilities in your surrounding, and whereas if you had access to top education, you know you thrive as a, you know, a captain of industry. But if you don't, if that's lacking, maybe you're the head of a cartel. You know, but it just shows that people are people, and I wanted to show the connections that we have with everyone else. You know.
Most definitely. And you also got to work with your wife on this film, and you didn't share many scenes together, but that relationship is really the emotional bedrock of the whole film. So, is there anything you want to speak to from your perspective, just regarding that dynamic between you two as actors and also partners in real life?
Yeah, my wife and I mean, my wife is the best thing that ever happened to me. There's I we I've I mean, I've far exceeded anything that I ever thought that could happen in a relationship. Uh, and so yeah, we have a chemistry that is undeniable for ourselves and other people. So when if there's a limited role where I have to show some kind of a chemistry that the audience is going to kind of care about, well, it's almost like I'm cheating. I'm using somebody who our chemistry just leaps off the screen. So you know that's like you mentioned, there's a very short um, role for her, but a lot has to be shown in that very short amount of time. And there's nothing better than your soulmate to do that with.
Most definitely. And over the past decade, you've also done some work behind the camera. I think you made your directorial debut like in 2011. So, how has that experience been valuable for you as a storyteller and just giving you a different perspective whenever you're on set in various positions, whether that be in front of or behind the camera?
Well, I mean, it's weird. It's a full circle thing because when I was in third and fourth grade and when I was 10 years old, I was shooting my own movies on Super 8 video and editing them when no one told me to do that. It was just something I naturally was inclined to do. And I've always thought as a director, even in the beginning of my acting career. So it's just something I, you know, naturally went right back into. So it never seemed weird, you know? So it's just hard to take my director's and my producer's mind and put that aside when I'm acting. So it's actually um, very natural for me to be directed.
For sure, that makes sense.
Mm.
And you've worked in so many different styles of action over the years. So coming into this film, was there anything different you had to learn about the approach to the action filmmaking in this, or was this something that you were kind of drawing from other aspects of your career?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Oh yeah. So regarding like the styles of action that you've worked in over the years, action and
Uh-huh.
martial arts and filmmaking, when you approached this film, was there anything different you had to learn regarding your approach to the action in this film, or was it kind of something that you've been able to draw from other aspects of your career?
Well, in this particular film, I'm doing a different type of martial art style, a style called a defense lab system. Uh, and the choreographer, Michelle Quach, he was very instrumental in this unique fighting system that I wanted to unveil. So that was a bit different, and how to capture that type of fighting style.
Awesome. Awesome. And so one more note before we wrap up. So I just want to mention I was born in 1999. So I come from the generation that's always held The Dark Knight in such a high regard. For young film fans and young filmmakers in my age range, The Dark Knight was pretty much the blueprint just the standard for so much of what we love about filmmaking. And your scene in that movie with Heath Ledger, just the tension that you both communicated with your performances, it's a really brilliant sequence. So, I'd love to have you think back to that experience and if there's anything specifically you've carried with you as an actor over your career that you almost gained from that set.
Well, I mean, one thing that was kind of surprising is that even though you had Christopher Nolan directing and you had these top-notch actors, it was the most relaxed set. It was one of the most relaxed sets I've ever been on. Heath Ledger was super chill and didn't take himself very seriously. I mean, he took the acting seriously, but he was not one of these people who stayed in character or what have you. He was a really open and fun and playful kind of guy. So yeah, it's I was just surprised at how comfortable and casual that set was.
Right. Oh wow, that's really interesting that you note that. That's really cool. So thanks for sharing that. And well, Michael, again, I just want to thank you for your time today, and it's been an honor to be able to talk to you about this film, and hopefully we get a chance to chat again down the line about something.
Thanks. I look forward.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
You too.